So, you think you know Brussels? The familiar sights, things people expect to see in this great European city, the administrative home of the EU. But underneath it all, there's something else. A place only a few people know about.
How far down does it go?
Le Musée des Égouts, the sewer museum.
How many rats are there?
About 2 million rats in Brussels.
2 million?
Yeah, 2 million.
Oh, do you get to see them on a daily basis?
Yeah. And so, that's the river.
The river. So there are still some surprises lurking here in Brussels, and the EU's critics say it's doing the same thing, that there's some nasty business still in the pipeline.
They're keeping everything back until after the 24th, and then there's going to be a deluge, a tsunami. There's going to be all sorts of problems that are going to be visited on us. Regulations have held back, especially on things like toasters and vacuum cleaners.
So this is things like the Port Services Directive, which is ruinous for our commercial ports, things like the licensing for art imports, which is a disaster for the London art market, the banning of high-power electrical appliances, and then a little bit further down the line, more bailouts, higher budget contributions, and ultimately the harmonisation of military capacity, what the European Commission describes as the strategic necessity of a European army.
It's a long list, so I asked the EU Commission.
Is the Commission holding back on certain legislation that would be unpopular with the British?
The Commission is not saving up proposals. We are continuing to work on the basis of our political guidelines. Now, as to the question about the EU army, yes, I can also say very clearly that we have no plans to propose an EU army.
But there are those in the European Parliament who think Britain's referendum is playing a role in delaying EU business. That's exactly what happened to the EU budget, according to the Vice Chair of the European Parliament's Budget Committee.
We would normally have the budget by now. Has it been delayed?
It has. It is being delayed, yes.
Why?
Well, I think everyone knows that Brexit and the vote, the referendum, has something to do with it. There is certainly the migration reason for delaying it. But then, on the other hand, in politics, you tend to say that this is the reason, and then there are other things that are also playing into.
And what about the toasters? The Green MEP who worked on regulation to make kitchen appliances more eco-friendly says toasters were never on the EU's hit list. But
is there a sense here that there is much business here in the EU being held up before the British referendum?
Of course, the EU Commission is very cautious. There is some legislative proposals or execution of which is withheld. We do that because we do not want to create negative stories which often are completely out of the blue and without any proof good, but that's the reality of the British media.
The toaster unit is somewhere hidden in a secret locked corridor.
The toaster unit is what some journalists have called a special task force set up within the EU Commission to deal with issues relating to the UK. So called because of those stories in the British press that the EU had decided to shelve plans to change our toasters.
It's led by the father of British Eurocrats, Jonathan Fall. He's been here since the 70s, plays cricket, drinks tea, kind of understands some of what may explode in the UK.
But we do know there's a British task force. It's being dubbed the toaster unit. I mean, is that not evidence that you are prepared to at least hold back some unpopular stuff?
I appreciate the effort to introduce into the Commission press room tabloid terminology. There are issues that to be addressed, parliamentary questions to be answered. There is a whole internal work of coordination between the services, advice to the commissioners. So there is nothing special, extraordinary, or toaster-related aspect in the work of our colleagues.
With less than 2 weeks to go until the referendum, it's maybe not surprising those in Brussels are keen the British public see the EU's best side. But for others, it belies a selfie interest, exactly what those wanting to leave say is wrong with the EU.